So thank you so much for your time. Sir, to start off with, if you can elaborate on the digital strategy overall for SBI General. So digital strategy as far as strategy as far as your uh, dialogue with the other departments, because everything happens in tandem. What are the requirements of other functions, and also your dialogue with the top management, with the MD and CEO, because his experience also comes in here. So if you can start off with what is the overall strategy of digital strategy of SBI General.
Sure. So you might be aware that our CEO and Managing Director, Mr. Pushan Mahapatra, he comes from a very strong technology background as well, and our digital transformation piece is actually not about the technology at all. Here the focus is that the technology is the secondary factor. What we've done over the past 1.5 years is we started blueprinting around the customer. So the focus was always around across each channel or each line of business, how each customer would perceive our services and how he would interact with us. So it was more around keeping the customer as in the center and building what the customer needs. Now that being the case, the conversation between business and IT becomes really simple, because we are not there to implement a particular technology. The focus is around what customer wants, the end customer wants, and what is the best method or best way to deliver the service to the customer.
Okay, and so as a follow-up to that, what have been some of the recent IT initiatives that the company has undertaken, in different areas as far as digital is concerned, IT is concerned, what you can share.
Right. So what I would not call it IT initiatives. These are initiatives. Yes, all our initiatives are of digital in nature. That's digital first. That is an unsaid policy that we have. So the initiatives are all customer facing and not IT in mind. So we don't take a technology for the sake of implementing a particular technology, because technology is what we use to serve a particular requirement. So we've done what we have done in the past 1.5 years is that we've initiated multiple projects, and some of them we don't call them projects, we call them journeys, because that's how we map the entire the project as a particular journey in which there will be certain milestones or minimum viable products which we identify and set up. So that's how we run them. So couple of them, one of the most important piece that we looked at is improving the operational efficiency. And the operational efficiency is actually not an objective. The objective is the operational efficiency was a byproduct. The objective is really how do you deliver a particular service to the customer faster. So let's look at let's say renewal retention or customer retention as an example. So what is the fastest and the best way that the customer can actually renew his or her policy with SBI General? And this is a moment of truth where we only get in touch with the customer typically when you issue a policy, or the second time is a claim if it happens. So the policy renewal is a very important aspect as far as the general insurance company is concerned. And given the way the business is, most of our relationship ends or tends to the contract ends annually. So it's very important for us to get back to the customer and ensure that the customer is aware that he or she has an insurance policy with us. The customer is aware that this insurance policy is important for the customer, and it is easy for the customer to renew the policy as fast as possible. So we've done certain things like making the renewal notice available by way of an SMS itself, and on click of a link, the customer is able to pay the renewal premium and also get the renewal policy. So as simple as that. So the actual time that the customer has to spend in getting a renewal policy is just probably a few minutes. So this is an example of an outcome of one of the journeys that we've undertaken. Another example, if I could talk about, would be the manner in which how we service our claims, motor claims. We have our surveyors and loss assessment personnel are able to now go on spot, do a live streaming of the loss, and this actually fast tracks the entire loss assessment piece, and from days to hours really. So there again you look at the customer benefits in a large way, because the entire loss assessment piece, the administrative time frame is cut down, and the customer can get the claim paid fairly faster.
Okay, so can you share some numbers in terms of the initiatives that you have taken, and say as a result of the initiatives that you have taken, that your renewals has been far more better compared to last year, or your claims servicing as far as motor insurance is concerned, the turnaround time for that has improved compared to last year, you have paid more claims, or basically the entire loss assessment has happened faster. Any numbers that that is basically an impact of the digital tools that you are using?
Sure. So while some of the journeys have come into, if I could say, were put into production or have gone live in the past couple of months, I would not. I mean, it may not be what we see immediate results is from an uptake on the renewal piece, because we can see now we would definitely have to wait for the year to complete so that we can actually see whether there has been a significant contribution or an increase in revenue as such. But what we know for sure is that the operational there is clear indication of improvements in terms of operational efficiencies, and that definitely we are hopeful that we are able to pass on the benefits in terms of service speed or cost to the customer.
Okay. And as far as the impact of digital initiatives on financials, how do you put it? As in, when board meetings happen, or when there's an annual report that outs, or during quarterly report, how attributable is the role of digital to reduction in costs, or improving efficiencies, or coming up with more line of businesses, or basically on the impact of digital on the financials?
So number one, the digital transformation journeys that we are undertaking, they are under an organizational initiative. They're all bundled under a specific organizational initiative, which is monitored at the highest level. So in terms of if you want to look at the seriousness under which the organization operates, in fact every 2 weeks there is a senior management review of all the the outcomes. So we have a 2 weekly review of every line item that is involved in these digital transformation journeys, and of course the aggregated output is presented to the board as well. So while the impact on financials is something, and every journey that you undertake, there is definitely there could be a financial impact. Second, there could be obviously an indirect indication that the revenue would increase because of superior customer service. So both these are tracked and are a part of a separate agenda on the board meetings as well.
Okay, but any numbers you can share?
As of now, as I said, that a lot of the journeys are just getting completed now. Okay, so from an annual report perspective, I think I may not be able to share that.
Okay, and sir, if you can touch upon the plans as far as using private blockchain internally at SBI General.
Right. So now blockchain is at least if I look at from an insurance industry perspective, the adoption is the uptake is slow at this point of time. We are partnering with other insurance companies on some blockchain initiatives you would have heard of the no claim bonus piece, where insurance companies have come together and they share information specific to the motor insurance and claim history. We are also internally evaluating certain other use cases, which for example, things like how you track assets within the organization, how you handle vendor payments within the organization. So there are certain use cases around this which we are currently playing around with.
Okay. And sir, API is something which is becoming very, very important, and especially for insurance companies where the network is huge. And SBI has a huge network, so you have a tie-up with SBI. Now SBI in itself is a mammoth organization.
Right.
Plus you must also be having APIs with your vendors, with different kind of vendors, with your direct agents, direct sales force. So if you can talk, as in if you can discuss how API is managed, with the entire SBI network, their branches and your direct workforce, and how is it helping in improving the productivity in your sales? How does it reflect in your financials? If you can talk about that API.
So basically, if before we started hearing about the whole concept about how APIs are now, it's the world is around the commerce world is around the API piece at all. When we had initiated the IT implementation here, we were very clear that we would do all our implementation would be a SOA centric implementation. So all the applications which interact with each other within our ecosystem are 100% SOA compliant. Okay, so that gives a base that that you have web services ready for most of the business transactions. Now the question of API really is about how do you externalize these services outside the enterprise, right? So what we've done is that we've set up an API management layer on top of the existing the SOA platform, right? So the API management layer sits on top of the the SOA platform, and your customers or your channels sit on top of that. So really, because we had this foundation ready, enabling or externalizing these services actually were easier than we thought. So any external channel or a bank or a broker or an agent or an association of persons, anybody, if they want to interact with us or we want to interact with them, the services are already published on the API management layer, and it's about consuming them.
Okay. So can you give some numbers in terms of how many channels do you operate with? As far as the SBI network is concerned, as far as your
SBI network, SBI network, we interact with SBI as a single unit, okay, because they are also they have a very sophisticated information technology and infrastructure setup. So we look at SBI and SBI as a single unit, okay. So that's our bank assurance platform. But then there are other brokers, there are large corporate agents whom we integrate with through the API platform.
Okay. So can you share something on the chatbot side, as in terms of when was it launched, and some numbers in terms of how many interactions has happened, and how accurate are the responses?
Right. So we are in the very initial stages of the chatbot, of implementing the chatbot. However, what I hear from the industry, we hear different stories from the industry on the chatbot, and this is primarily because the bot needs time to learn, right? So the bot is only as good as the amount of data that you feed in and the vintage of the bot itself. So that really would deliver. So most of the industry, insurance industry, or in the financial services, that you would see that the uptake on bot for internal consumption is more. What we've done is that we have actually reduced a lot of IT processes and using some bots internally. So basically, these are relevant to either production support services or managing data, moving data from one ecosystem to the other. Doing some data transformation. We are using a couple of bots to help us gain some efficiency over there. Okay. But the end customer bot is something which we are which is in the pipeline.
Okay. And also, sir, to expand your business operations, anything that you can discuss on the cloud side or on the back end side, that the work that's happening?
Right. So we already have a couple of applications, ancillary applications on the cloud, and we are we are also in the process of for formulating a cloud policy within the organization, because we think it's very critical to have a formal framework around which considering the fact that we deal with a lot of customer data, and that's very critical to preserve the privacy of the especially the sensitive customer information. So the cloud policies is under the works, and in parallel, what we are doing a couple of experimentation on moving, looking at some non-core areas on the cloud services, but nothing in production as of now.
Okay, so just one last question on your views on emerging technologies, or your view on insurtech, because the insurance itself is such a huge space that there are technologies specific to insurance that are coming up. And which of these technologies are that you will be implementing or you are experimenting with? Like, there are a number of technologies, like IoT has a lot of use cases in insurance. Right. Then we have AI, ML, blockchain you already spoke about. Right. Big data is there, cloud you spoke about. Right.
So it's really what what they say as ABCD. So A for artificial intelligence, B for blockchain, right? C for cloud, and D for big data. So IoT, I would put it under somewhere within the data piece, because IoT finally gives you data, and then you have to work with the data. What we did internally to experiment with the telematics piece really was we had devices installed on a group of employees within the company to look at whether the driving pattern and the insurance insurances, do they have a particular relationship? So we have done some internal POCs around on the telematics front, but then of course there are some challenges in terms of operationalizing it or rolling out to people on a consumer model, really, because there are things like there are other players like the manufacturer or the who are involved, and we need to ensure that there are no this does not infringe on the product warranties and things like that. So there are certain practical problems on the telematics side. However, there are multiple initiatives we are undertaking on the ABCD. Okay, there are POCs that we are running on the data analytics and the using artificial intelligence, because now we also have sufficient data, and we can use this. There are certain tools which we use to run and scrub data and see if we can get some valuable insights on this. But these are all at stage at experimentation. On the blockchain, which we have already discussed, cloud, we have a couple of, as I said, that there are some ancillary applications which we've already put up on the cloud. We are also toying around with the fact if we could put up a digital distribution front-end digital distribution framework on the cloud, so that it can handle the business peaks and handle all front office activities with my customer and with my channel partners through the cloud. So there is a POC that is underway on that front as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. That's it.
Okay.